Aloha! My name is Dawn and I live in the Amazonian rainforest. Please like and subscribe! Growing up, I lived in the jungle with my amazing nature-loving dad. We didn't really have a house. We lived in makeshift tents near a local tribe that Dad was filming for one of his numerous award-winning documentaries. My mom was a famous talk show host in the United States, and she only visited Dad and I once or twice a year. When I was 13 years old, Dad was attacked by a caiman and passed away. A few weeks later, Mom told me that we'd be moving to the United States. I tearfully said goodbye to my best friend Hiro as my mom waited impatiently.
Will I ever see you again?
I'll come back, I promise. We quickly did our secret handshake, then I turned and left. From the moment we got off the plane, I felt like an alien. People pointed and stared at me. Mom, why are they staring?
Because you're dressed like a caveman. Why don't you wear the clothes I buy for you?
They're old designer dresses, Mom. Not exactly jungle-friendly.
Well, we're not in the jungle anymore. You need a makeover.
Cora, is that your daughter?
I was startled by a sudden flash in my face. A man with a camera was blocking our exit from the airport.
Get that camera off of her face.
I need a photo for my blog.
The man walked around my mother and shoved the camera back in my face. I took several steps back, but the man kept advancing, so I pushed my suitcase and tripped him with it.
You owe me a new camera.
Mom took my hand and literally dragged me to the nearest taxi. The next day, a video of the incident was all over social media with headings like, "Cora's jungle daughter attacks reporter like the wild animal she is." As you can imagine, my first day of school wasn't so pleasant. There are so many buildings. How will I know where to go?
You'll get used to it.
That's all the advice my mom gave me before she drove off, leaving me stranded. It didn't take long before the other kids took notice of me.
New girl, what's your name? I'm Heather.
Dawn.
Like the morning?
Yeah, like that, I guess.
What's with your hair and your clothes? You live in the forest or something?
Actually, yeah. She touched my hair and made a face.
Ever heard of shampoo? Oh my god, did you live with animals?
I knew a mean girl when I saw one, and I wasn't about to let Heather make me her victim. So I grabbed her hand and squeezed. She tried to snatch her hand back, but I held on tighter. I stepped right into her face and sniffed her, then widened my eyes. You heard that right. I sniffed her.
Ew, what are you doing?
I'm making you my friend. That's how my fellow animals and I make friends. You're my friend now. I lied. That wasn't actually how we made friends. But I liked freaking her out. I released her hand and she took several steps back.
Stay away from me, you creep. My dad is the principal, and if you touch me again, he'll expel you.
Heather didn't bother me again after that. All she did was roll her eyes every time our paths crossed. I could live with that. As months went by, I started to love my new life. Mom got me a smartphone and a laptop, and I spent hours teaching myself how to use them. It was tough adjusting to this new life, but by the time I was in senior year, I had gotten used to this civilized world. One morning, Heather and her flock walked into class gushing about some boy.
OMG! Did you see his eyes? I can't believe he's living in your house.
Well, Dad's the principal, so...
You're so lucky.
Just then, the principal walked in, followed by a tall and very handsome boy. Something about the boy looked familiar.
Attention, everyone. I'd like you to welcome this year's exchange student, Hiro.
I couldn't believe it! Standing there was my childhood friend. Before I could stop myself, I leaped from my seat, ran, and threw my arms around him. I can't believe it's you! Hiro remained stiff and didn't hug me back. I released him and stood awkwardly as the whole class watched. Don't you remember me?
Yeah, I do. Hi, Dawn.
He looked past me and locked eyes with Heather.
Excuse me.
I slumped in my chair, wishing I could make myself disappear. What just happened? Later that day, when I approached Hiro, Heather stood up and blocked my path.
Stay away from my boyfriend, weirdo.
Boyfriend?
Did I stutter?
I waited for Hiro to deny it, but he remained quiet, so I walked away. One evening, I was out walking our dog when he suddenly got excited and started to bark at a tree. You're so silly, Rufus. It's just a tree. But Rufus barked even louder, so I decided to check out what had him so excited. Hey, look, it's a chameleon! I pulled Rufus's leash, ready to keep walking, but then I remembered something. When we were kids, Hiro loved chameleons. I knew what I had to do. I picked up a stick and nudged the chameleon until it coiled itself around the stick. Bingo! I was so excited to go to school the next day. I carried the chameleon in a cardboard box, walked straight up to Hiro, and placed it on his desk.
What's this?
It's a gift. I waited eagerly as Hiro opened the box. As soon as he saw the chameleon, his face broke into the cutest smile I'd ever seen. He picked up the chameleon and started to pet it. It was a perfect moment. Until...
Oh, get it away from me!
Ugh, Heather was such a drama queen. I tried to calm her down, but she lost balance and fell, taking me down with her. I ended up in detention because Heather told everyone that I attacked her. That evening, I sat in my room reliving the moment Hiro saw the chameleon. The smile on his face made me melt.
Dawn, you have a visitor.
That was strange. I never had visitors. I went to check who it was, and my heart started racing when I saw that it was Hiro.
Hi, Dawn. I'm here to return this.
Hiro held out the cardboard box with the chameleon in it, and my heart sank. I thought you liked it.
I do, but it's freaking Heather out, so I can't keep it.
It's okay. I can keep it for you, and maybe you can see it when you visit.
I can't. Heather will not like that.
Why are you so afraid of Heather? A loud honk sound came from outside.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Hiro bolted out the door, and when I ran after him, I saw him get into Heather's car. Back inside, Mom took one look at the chameleon and demanded I get rid of it. But I got it for Hiro. I have to keep it in case he changes his mind.
Forget about the boy. You won't be around much longer anyway.
What do you mean?
We're leaving at the end of the week.
What do you mean we're leaving?
We are going back to the jungle.
What?
My charity organization is doing an important project for the community. Come on. I thought you'd be happy we're going back there.
Before, I'd have jumped on the chance of going back, but that changed when Hiro showed up at our school. Can't you work on it from here? Mom ran a charity organization, but she had employees who did everything for her.
Not this time. We're leaving and that's final.
I tried to say goodbye to Hiro, but as usual, Heather never let me anywhere near him. Leaving for the village and knowing that Hiro wouldn't be there made me super sad. But on the other hand, I was excited to see everyone else. I felt both nostalgic and sad when we arrived. Everything reminded me of Dad, and I felt tears well up in my eyes. Mom surprised me by taking my hand and squeezing it.
You're gonna love it again here. This time even more. I have a surprise for you. Wait till you see.
See what?
That.
I don't understand. How?
It's our house. Isn't it perfect? We even have internet.
It was perfect, sure, but I couldn't help but notice how it stood out like a sore thumb, while the rest of the village looked the same as it did when we left. Weeks went by, and I still hadn't gotten a chance to see and talk to my old friends. Mom was eyeing me like a hawk and forbid me from leaving the house. One afternoon, however, I decided to stage a prison break, so I climbed through the bedroom window and jumped. I landed on some bushes and only got a small scratch on my arm. I ran all the way to the footbridge that led to the local school, only to find that the footbridge was gone. Instead, a bunch of canoes were docked by the riverbank. When I was a kid, I watched Dad use a canoe all the time, and it looked so easy. I could do it too, right? Determined, I pushed one canoe into the river and climbed into it. Big mistake. I barely had control of the paddles as strong waves rocked the canoe back and forth. It was not long before the canoe tipped over, throwing me into the cold, brown water. Help! Somebody! I screamed and splashed around, but I ended up swallowing gulps of disgusting water.
Dawn? Hold on, I'm coming to get you.
Was that Hiro? I had to be hallucinating.
Dawn!
His voice sounded far away, but seconds later, strong arms grabbed me and dragged me out of the river. I collapsed on the ground and puked brown water.
What were you thinking? You could have drowned.
Why are you back?
My mom is unwell, and after you left, I was miserable.
I don't understand. You barely spoke to me.
Dawn, I'm so sorry. Heather, she threatened to have her dad kick me out of school if I didn't do what she wanted.
So she forced you to be her boyfriend?
Yeah, she did it to make you jealous. She even asked me to kiss her, but I said no.
Why did you say no?
Because there's only one girl I want to kiss.
I hated that girl already. Oh, okay. She's a lucky girl. I have to go. I was about to leave, but Hiro turned me toward him and kissed me! Suddenly, my clothes weren't so cold anymore. The kiss probably lasted seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. We held hands all the way home, but our happiness was short-lived. Mom took one look at our drenched clothes and exploded.
Where have you been?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's all my fault.
Hiro was clearly lying so I wouldn't get into trouble. No, it's not. I'm the one who...
Don't cover for him. This boy is nothing but trouble.
But he saved me!
Enough! Go to your room, now. And you, leave.
I didn't see Hiro for several weeks. Then one morning, he burst into my room. Hey, what's...
Dawn, where's your mom?
She's not home. What's going on?
Someone demolished the village school during the night. I think your mom had something to do with it.
What? What makes you think that?
Last evening, I saw her sitting inside a really nice car talking to a man I've never seen before.
Okay, that's weird, but what does it have to do with the school being destroyed?
I just saw the same man driving a bulldozer on the school grounds.
What? We need to go there, now! Hiro and I paddled across the river and found angry villagers gathered.
There he is!
Hiro pointed at a pot-bellied and balding man in a dark suit and sunglasses. At first, the man seemed unbothered by the chaos, but then he turned his red face to us.
Listen here, you fools. My name is Mr. Baldwin, and what I'm doing here is for your own good. I'm building a 5-star hotel that will attract tourists to your pathetic village. Do you know what that means? Jobs. Money.
We booed him and continued to protest, but by nightfall, we were all so exhausted, so we went home. The moment I got home, I marched straight to my mom's bedroom, but it was locked. Mom! Mom ignored me and avoided me for days. Clearly, she knew something. By the end of the week, I was so frustrated that I decided to take matters into my own hands. With the help of Hiro and my camera, we took photos and videos of the construction. I interviewed Hiro, his mom, and some of the villagers about how the school was demolished and the sorry state it was in before. Then we posted everything on social media using my laptop. It was a lot of work, but it meant that Hiro and I spent lots of time together, so I wasn't complaining. As weeks went by, my post started to get attention from people all over the world. Some were lawyers offering their legal assistance, and others were powerful politicians. Soon enough, Mom found out what I was doing, and she was not happy about it.
Dawn, you need to stop these online campaigns and stop interfering with this project, or I will confiscate your camera and laptop.
What happened to you, Mom? I thought you ran a charity organization that fights for people like Hiro and his community. Mom looked really sad, but she didn't answer me. That night, I was woken up by angry shouts. It sounded like it was coming from the living room.
Your daughter is treading on dangerous grounds. You need to make her stop or you will lose everything, including this house.
I spoke to her, but she's a stubborn girl. Also, her campaign is gaining huge support. I'm starting to think that letting you destroy the school was a bad idea.
You should do the job I'm paying you to do. Remember, this house and the money I paid you could be taken away as easily as it was given to you.
As soon as he left, I walked in to find a distraught Mom looking pale and shaken. I heard everything, Mom. I thought you cared about this village. Dad would be so disappointed in you. She broke down, and I held her for a long while before she calmed down and finally spoke.
Mr. Baldwin is a very rich man. His company built his house for me as a bribe to let him grab the school's land.
But that's illegal!
Don't you think I know that? I wish I could stop him.
You can. All you have to do is tell the truth. I ran to my bedroom and brought my laptop. I sat next to Mom and started a live stream. Talk, Mom. The world is watching. Mom confessed to everything that she and Mr. Baldwin did. The stream was flooded with angry comments, but some applauded her courage. TV stations flew in reporters to cover the story, and Mr. Baldwin and Mom were arrested. Of course, we lost the mansion, but as Mom served her jail time, I went to live with Hiro and his mom. We oversaw the construction of a new school funded by my online campaigns. A few months later, Mom was released and she came back.
I'm so sorry for everything, honey. I will do everything I can to improve this community for real this time.
How about you start by helping us carry sand from the river? We're building a footbridge.
But I just had my nails done and...
Mom!
Okay, let's go.
The end.
Hi, my name is Gwen. You're probably wondering why I look chill in a situation like this. Well, let's just say, the moment we moved into this house, I knew there was something else right here with us, but they wouldn't listen. In fact, given what happened, it would be okay if it was just ghosts, but it was something much more sinister. Of course, before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe so you never miss our must-watch STA videos. On the first day here, while everyone was inside unpacking, I chose to be here and kick a ball around. I learned to play from my dear late dad. Oops! I tracked the ball and found it right in the hands of a crooked old woman wearing a hooded cloak who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Her nails were so long, they almost wrapped around the ball. Ick! My ball, please?
The last owner of your house disappeared.
Finally, she let me have the ball. And I wasted no time in speeding right back to my house. Once I was at the porch, I turned around to take another look at the woman, but the old woman was already behind me.
Stay away from the basement if you want to live.
Predictably, my mom and her husband didn't believe a thing I said when I told them about the old woman at dinner.
Gwen, don't you like the food?
You promised we'd have stir fry.
This is Iris's favorite, and it's her first night here.
It's everyone's first night here. How typical of Mom. Whatever her stepdaughter wanted, Mom made sure she got it. It made me wonder if she still loved me.
Girls, this house is so cheap. Wonder why the owner just left it empty for so long.
The old woman next door gave me a good reason why. This house is haunted.
We have a scaredy cat at the table. Want some milk, little kitty?
Girls! Great news. I think I can buy that beat-up Volkswagen we saw for sale in town with the money we saved from renting this place.
That sixth-hand car? Ew.
That reminds me. We need to stay away from the basement.
Exactly what the witch neighbor said.
There was a fire in the basement, so it's quite unstable.
Great! A haunted house built on an unstable basement. What could go wrong?
Nothing's going to go wrong.
Here's a good life hack to learn. Never say, what could go wrong when staying in a haunted mansion you just moved into because your cheapskate stepfather found the deal of a lifetime. Because it will always go wrong.
Oh, sorry, girls. I'll make it up to you.
You can start with us leaving this house.
Maybe it's a good thing we've moved into this house. We might get to see your real dad's ghost. Iris! Girls, let's get cleaned up.
After our terrible dinner, I just cleaned up and went to bed. How could she bring up my father like that? How could Mom let her? It made me so mad. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every shadow in my room became a monster. I couldn't stop thinking of Dad. We had a happy family back then. No Iris, no new stepdad. Yeah, it's haunted. You know those horror movies where characters go into scary rooms and you're like, don't go in there, fool! Yeah. Well, when in real life, it's a lot harder to stay in the room than go check things out. Still pretty foolish. Iris? Mom? Mom's husband? Who's there? I have a stick. 2 sticks.
Hey, it's just me, sweetheart. What is it?
I heard something.
Maybe it was the sound of me coming out of my room.
I also saw something. Like someone down there.
You worry too much. And just in case you forgot, my name's Koshnuts, not Mom's husband.
I like Mom's husband better. After that, I had even more questions. What was Mom's husband doing out of his room at that time of night? What stopped him from going downstairs to confirm what I saw? Something was fishy with that man and this house. The sooner I figured it out, the faster I could convince my mom that we should leave and go back home. The next morning, I went for a run to clear my head, but my shoes chose to disappoint before I could get home. Ugh, bad timing, Mr. and Mrs. Shoes. Ugh. The problem with not having a lot of money is that you have to buy pretty cheap things with short lifespans. Ouch! Watch where you're going.
Sorry, I think Bigfoot just walked through here. Saw footprints. Looks like you're the Bigfoot I was tracking.
The guy was very stunning. Black hair, blue eyes, he even had dimples. I'm a sucker for dimples. Dude, honestly.
Okay, you caught me. I'm just clumsy. I bet we've got the same shoe size.
Are you looking for trouble? I knew I had unusually big feet for a girl, but being insulted twice by a strange guy, that's something I wouldn't tolerate.
Not at all. Actually, your house is still pretty far off. Just take them. Don't worry, they don't stink. That much?
Thanks, but what about you?
My house is very close by. See ya!
Hey, how did you know where I live? For most of that day, all I thought about was that guy at the park. His manner of approach had been really awkward, but his cuteness more than made up for it.
The 6th disappearance of a set of priceless paintings from the National Museum has the whole city in confusion. Who is behind?
The National Museum? That's just a few blocks away from here.
Just then, Mom came and cuddled up next to Dad. Ugh, my eyes. They have to remind me they got married like a month ago. I looked away from them only to notice something about the painting hanging over the fireplace. Hey, how did this painting of the horse become an antelope today?
Gwen, the house isn't haunted.
It's called evolution. The horse has evolved into an antelope.
So many clowns in this world. I'm serious. That was a horse last night.
Miss Grumpy Pants, what's your deal?
You are my deal. You and your dad.
Gwen, you know why you're seeing and hearing things? Because you won't accept change. You're determined to hate this house and everything in it.
You know what we need? A family outing. Do a little bonding? Might affect our budget for the month, but let's do it anyway. Next week?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a pain. The last thing I wanted was to sit down and have a cozy chow feast with those two. I didn't ask for any of this. I was happy back home, at least while my dad was still alive. That evening, I found my first evidence to prove we weren't the only occupants of this house. Come here for a bit.
I don't want to wind up in the trash.
Look,
Okay, I'm looking at soda bottles. So?
nobody in this house drinks soda.
So who?
Exactly.
Are they a match, Sherlock?
Let's see where they go. I walked around the house only to see the footprint stop at a wall.
Oh, mighty sleuth wizard, you have found a wall. Brilliant.
Don't you know what this means? The basement.
Of course it does.
Iris, we found bottles. Tracks. I'm calling the police. At this point, I was majorly freaking out. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Hello? Police? Please come here right now. We are living in a haunted mansion. There's creaking, shadow people. Our food flew to our heads. A horse turned into an antelope. Now there's footprints. Hello? Police? Hello?
You know there's a law against prank calling the police. I'm telling Dad.
I couldn't believe that the police actually cut me off like that. And it made me wonder if I was actually going crazy. When Iris told my parents I called the police, they yelled at me for an hour straight. Just another terrible day. Early the next morning, I came out to the park again hoping to see Frank, return his shoes, and maybe chat.
Fancy meeting you here.
Thanks. What's your name?
Don't tell me. I'm Frank. You sound like someone whose name will start with a J or maybe G. Gina, Gabriel, Gwen,
It's Gwen. How did you...
I'm very good at guessing. You looked really worried before.
I guess the new house and I aren't getting along.
Missing old friends.
There's that, and then I've been hearing and seeing things that make me feel like the mansion is haunted.
Are you the ones that moved into the mansion abandoned for decades?
Yes,
That house, there's, lots of stuff going on. Your family, you want to keep them safe, right?
Frank, what are you talking about?
Just the basement. Stay away from it.
So says the witch next door, too.
Hey, I know. Let's go to the arcade.
Was he asking me out on a date? Sure. What have I got to lose? The time we spent at the arcade was the most fun I had had since we moved here. Frank and I played different games, and even though he beat me at most, I won a few. All too soon, we had to go.
I haven't had that much fun in years.
Huh? Why?
I should go now. I'll call you.
For some days after I told Frank about the house, nothing strange happened again. I began to feel that maybe everything had been in my head. Just as I was convincing myself nothing was wrong, the house had other ideas. For the special family bond time, Mom and Mom's husband took us to a fancy restaurant. The three of them did the talking and bonding. I kept to myself. I watched Dad go red when the waiter brought his bill, and then he began to search his pockets like crazy.
I can't find my wallet.
Do a mobile transfer then, dear.
I had 10 grand in that wallet. That's the last of our savings till our next salary.
Maybe it's at home?
With our luck, I just knew that wallet might never be found. The hotel management sent us home with 2 of their security guards, so we could get the money and settle with them. But when we got home, we searched the whole house and didn't find the wallet. Mom volunteered to clear the debt by washing dishes for the restaurant. It should have been her husband. He's the one that lost the money. The next morning, I came downstairs with one single thought: food. The pizza we left on the table was still there in its box. But when I opened it, each piece had been eaten save for the tomato rings piled into a pyramid as if to mock me.
What now? Ghost pizza?
This was supposed to be for breakfast, and you ate it all?
I didn't. And Dad doesn't eat leftover pizza.
I felt goosebumps prick my skin as I stared at the pizza. The pizza didn't eat itself.
Okay. Maybe a hungry burglar?
When I showed him the pizza, he got a tense look on his face. First your wallet, now this. There's something or someone in this house. Call the police. That basement.
No one is calling the police. Dad, I think I agree with Gwen this time. I'll throw this in the bin.
I was 100% sure at this point that he must have had a hand in all the things that had been driving me crazy in this house. And that basement would have the answers I needed. I was determined to check it tonight. The next night, I crept out of my room and made for the basement. I was very close to the short staircase leading down to the basement when I noticed someone's shadow behind me. Who's there? Iris, you can't stop me.
I believe you now. Either there's a thief or a ghost. Let's get him.
A smile bloomed on my face as we stared at each other for a few seconds, and she smiled back. Finally, someone believed me. Just as I reached for the basement door handle, my phone rang.
It's midnight. Who's that?
Hello? Frank?
Hey, Gwen. Where are you now?
Just in my room. Reading a book?
Yeah? Can I see a picture of it?
Just a minute. Yes, shame on me. I did just leave Iris there at the basement door, but I couldn't tell Frank what we were really up to. Back in my room, I just grabbed a random book and took a photo of it.
No, I don't recognize it. Hey, I was wondering if we could go out tomorrow.
Getting invited on another date with Frank? I forgot all about the basement. All I could think of was our date tomorrow. But what happened was beyond my wildest dreams. Our date the next day was going really well until Frank suggested we get something to eat. Thanks.
Anytime.
So, you were talking about your brother.
He works in the National Museum.
The one paintings were stolen from?
Yeah.
Suddenly, Frank began to stack the tomatoes he's eating into the same pyramid pattern as the one the thief left last night. Was Frank the one who had been haunting our house? Memories of how we met and how he seemed to know things about me even before I told him. Then, what about Iris's dad? I was getting some odd signals from him too. I had to tell Iris about Frank. I have an errand to run. Sorry. Bye. My mind was on fire. Was Frank somehow living in our house? When I got back to the house, what I saw did not reassure me. Mom, what's going on?
Iris has been missing since this morning, honey. Did you see her?
No, I left for my date early this morning.
She's new here and maybe got lost wandering. We'll find her.
By evening, there was still no word from the police, and I became very worried. Maybe Iris was missing because we had gone too close to the basement. I had to tell my parents everything. Iris and I tried to go to the basement last night.
What? Why?
We didn't go in, okay? Well, I don't know if she did because I got a call and left her there. Or maybe whatever is in the basement took...
Oh no! Maybe she went in and the ceiling fell on her. Why do you believe that there's someone there?
I began to believe all of you that it was just in my head, but it's not. All of the clues add up, and I think that you are protecting whatever is in there. Suddenly, Dad stood up and advanced on me threateningly. I stood my ground.
What are you saying?
I called the police, told them I kidnapped a girl and hid her in the basement. They will have to check by force now.
Gwen, I don't know.
Why didn't you call the police when Iris and I asked you to?
We still owe our former landlady some money. I heard recently that she filed a complaint to the police and I didn't want to talk to them. It's true, Gwen.
Well, if Mom said it was true, then it was.
Open up.
We all went downstairs and opened the door for the policeman. Then we led them to the basement.
We got an anonymous call that a girl was being held here. We think it may be Iris.
Despite all the police efforts to pry the basement door open, it wouldn't budge. I think I know another way. I led Dad and the policeman outside to the side of the house I had seen the footprints disappear to. I fumbled along the wall, and suddenly, my hand hit a lever. The wall silently opened to the basement. I knew it!
Unbelievable. Everyone freeze! Dad! Big sister!
It was such a relief to see her again. I was feeling so guilty. If something had happened to Iris, it would have been my fault. And in that moment, I realized I didn't want anything more for Iris than for her to be okay. Same for our dad.
Iris, how did you end up here? Gwen was right. I saw one of them in the house after you left, Gwen. He caught me and dragged me here.
We all hugged, and then I turned to look at the faces of the men who had been tormenting us. Frank? I knew it! You're a thief!
Not by choice. Please forgive me, Gwen.
The bearded guy beside Frank was his exact replica. It wasn't hard to put things together. Your brother works in the museum? Ha! More like stealing from the museum.
Let us handle this, miss. Great job. In fact, I'd say you're a hero.
Frank and the other guys were arrested, but because he was underage and truly had been forced into crime by his brother, he was given community service instead. It still hurt, but I could understand why he did it. And in a way, I was grateful. After all, if it were not for all the drama, I never would have figured out what was actually important. And what's that? My new family. We turned the basement into a game room. Hey, Dad.
Yes, Gwen?
It's Dad's last gift to me. Royal diamonds. Do you think it can get us something better than that beat-up Volkswagen?
Gwen, are you serious?
Yep. Why hold on to something that could make life better for us?
Thanks, Gwen. But the best place for this necklace should be right here. Your father gave this for you to keep. I'd never forgive myself if you sold this. And besides, I talked to the museum earlier today. Did you know there was a reward for finding all those paintings?
Really?
How much? We can get a real car.
New car, new everything.
We're rich. Gwen, I'm so sorry we didn't listen. You really are a hero.
Oh, I love you all.
I love you too.
After that incident, I tried to find the old woman again, only to find she had disappeared. Everyone said she never existed, but I know what I saw. What do you guys think? Was she real or something else? Something scary.
Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I've always been the most popular and beautiful girl in the class. You may think that my life sounds amazing, but trust me, it isn't. Being beautiful also has its downsides, especially when everybody stereotypes me because I'm blonde. One time in primary school, my teacher asked me to give a speech to the whole school about climate change. But as I walked onto the stage, my body just froze in fear. I was experiencing stage fright. Climate change is... My legs felt like they would tremble into another dimension.
Huh! She doesn't even know what she's talking about!
Looks like she gave up beauty for brains.
Everyone erupted into laughter. No, I do. And unfortunately, because of my stage fright, everyone thought I was dumb. My bad reputation stuck throughout the rest of my time at school, despite my good grades. Like this one time at school, we were hanging out when suddenly I heard a shout from across the field. The crowd was forming, and I rushed over to find a young, nerdy boy being picked on by the mean boy, Oscar.
Your eyes look like cubes. From now on, they should call you Cube Boy.
Oscar, leave him alone! You shouldn't pick on him for needing glasses. At least he has brains, unlike you. The other kids laughed, and Oscar huffed and ran away in embarrassment. Are you okay? I expected some kind of thank you, but all I got was...
I don't need your help, especially not from a blockhead.
Fine! Next time I won't help you! When I got home that evening, I was really nervous. Today was the day I would ask my mom if I could study to be a doctor. You see, I've always wanted to help people, and it's always been a huge dream of mine. Mom, I have a favor to ask. I want you to sign these university papers so I can go study medicine and— Hold the phone! You want to study medicine? As if! You will become a model. We can't be wasting those godlike features of yours. But no buts! Ugh! I stormed off to my room in anger. If my mom wouldn't let me study medicine, I'd just have to trick her into thinking I was going to uni for fashion. She would never know. She hardly even cared about my life. I was so excited to get started, but as I walked in, someone kicked a ball right at my head. Ouch! I looked up to find Prince Charming. At least he looked like a prince.
Are you okay?
Well, thanks. Are you new here as well?
Wait, you don't know who I am? Typical of a snobby princess like yourself.
Excuse you?
It's me, Charlie, from school.
That nerdy kid I rescued from that brute Oscar. But you're so handsome now.
Look, the fashion department is that way. This is the medicine section.
I know that. I'm going to become a doctor.
Sure thing.
What was that? What was wrong with this dude? He hadn't even apologized for hitting me in the head with a ball. In my first lecture, the stares of the other students were a little distracting. Okay, class, who can tell me what the meaning of pyrexia is? I raised my hand immediately, but another guy beat me to it. My blood boiled when I saw it was Charlie. He sniggered at me before answering.
Pyrexia is hypothermia.
Unfortunately, Charlie, that is incorrect. Anyone else? Oh, me! Yes? Pyrexia is another word for fever. Correct! Well done, Scarlet. Scarlet, maybe Charlie here can learn a thing or two from you. Now it was my turn to look smug. Oh, I loved the look on his shocked face. Later at lunch, I went to sit at a quiet table when a shy girl approached me. Hi, my name is Katie, and I just wanted to say that you did really great in that lecture and... But before she could say anything else, a flock of people pushed her aside and surrounded me.
That was amazing.
You're hot, and you've got the brains. But before they could press in any further, I took a big sip of my milk and sprayed them all with it. Ew, gross! Let me pass, please. I went to sit at the table with Katie while they all stared in shock. You were saying? The crowd shuffled away in shock, but I didn't care. They had pushed Katie aside so rudely, as if she didn't exist. Thank you for that, but you don't have to sit with me. I understand if you don't want to. Oh, but I do. Tell me more about yourself, Katie. We got chatting, and sure enough, we really hit it off. One afternoon, Katie and I were studying in the library, and I went to get a book from the shelf, but it was too high. Suddenly, someone appeared from behind and got it for me. Thank you. Oh, it's you.
Aren't you gonna thank your knight in shining armor?
I smirked and leaned in. I was only playing with him, but when I leaned in, his face flushed with the brightest red I've ever seen. Was he blushing? Whoa, relax. I wasn't actually gonna kiss you.
Good. I would hate it if you, kissed me because, you're gross.
Then he ran out of there as if his pants were on fire. Well, that was weird. When I returned to Katie, I told her about Charlie being there. What? Did he see me? Wait a second. Do you have a crush on Charlie? Shh, don't tell anybody. But wait, are you sure you have a crush on him? Because, no offense, but he's kind of a dimwad. No, really, he's actually kind and sweet. Are we talking about the same Charlie? Listen, I was wondering if you could, help me out. I didn't know how I felt about this shocking news, but I agreed to help her. I started off by giving her a makeover. We boosted up her style, brushed her hair, and by the end of it, she was looking like a model. How did you do it? You already had it in you, baby. When we went to class that day, everyone was stunned by Katie. But when Charlie walked in, he didn't even glance at Katie. Instead, he turned to me.
Hello, princess.
Really? That's the best you can do? No matter what we tried, Charlie paid Katie no attention. As we left class, though, we ran into a face from the past. Oscar?
Oh, hi, Scarlet. How?
When he noticed Katie, his jaw dropped.
Are you Oxygen? Because I need you in my life.
I rolled my eyes, but Katie was blushing. Ugh, come on, Katie. You can do better than Oscar. Even though Charlie didn't seem to care about Katie, he had no problem teasing me all the time. Eventually, I decided I would do Katie a favor and just tell Charlie she liked him. So one evening, I knocked on the door to his dorm.
Scarlet, what are you doing here?
Listen, I'm just gonna come out and say it. My bestie Katie has a crush on you, and she's a really wonderful person and you should date her.
Oh, there's one problem though. I kinda have a crush on someone else.
Seriously, who could be better than Katie?
Well, you.
My jaw fell open and I started gasping like a fish. And I don't know how I did it, but I threw my cup of juice in his face and ran off. I guess I was just so confused. He was always teasing me. How could he have a crush on me? I didn't tell Katie about the strange encounter. I didn't even know how I felt. But the universe works in mysterious ways, because one day, our professor assigned us partners for a science project, and he paired me with Charlie. I wish I could be paired with Charlie. It was so awkward. Somehow, Charlie and I managed to finish our project, and the day came to present it to the class. But when I walked in front of everyone, my legs started wobbling like jello. This presentation,
What's wrong?
I have major stage fright. I saw Charlie hesitate, but then he held my hand tightly.
Don't worry. I'm right here.
And somehow, that small touch gave me enough courage to speak. After we finished, I hugged Charlie and I felt like I was blushing too. But then I saw Katie in the crowd and I immediately felt a wave of guilt wash over me. Why did she have to like him? But surprisingly, when I met up with Katie later, she gave me some shocking news. You remember that guy Oscar we met the other day? Well, he asked me on a date, and I said yes. What? But I thought you liked Charlie. I mean, I did, but he pays me no attention, and Oscar has been so loving. I was so happy for Katie, but for reasons she didn't realize. One night, there was a massive party, and Katie forced me to go since Oscar was going. When we arrived, she left to go find Oscar, and I went outside by the pool. I was standing there, brooding in my own thoughts, when suddenly a crazy dude ran past and knocked me into the pool. My dress was so heavy in the water that it kept dragging me down. I was so scared. But then a strong hand grabbed me out of the water and held me in a tight hug.
You're okay. It's okay.
We hugged tightly, and I realized in that moment how amazing Charlie was. So I kissed him. It felt magical. But then there was a cry behind us. How could you? Katie, you don't even like Charlie anymore. You're with Oscar now, and... But she ran off before I could say anything else. From that night on, Katie stopped speaking to me, avoiding me in hallways, ignoring me in class. It was so immature. But I didn't realize just how far she would go when I got to my room and found a big sign on the wall in red, "Don't become a doctor." I wondered who could have done this when there was a sudden knock at the door. I was shocked to see Charlie there, looking all nervous.
Hey, Scarlett, I was wondering.
When Charlie saw the message, his eyes widened.
Oh no! Don't worry. We'll clean this up.
Charlie calmed me down, and then together we started washing off the paint. But then there was another knock at the door. Man, was I popular today. I went to answer and was surprised to see Katie. Listen, Scarlett, we need to talk. At that moment, Charlie stepped into view and Katie's eyes widened. Then she looked angry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Majesties. Am I interrupting something?
Suddenly, I realized who was behind the threatening message. It was you! You wrote the message! I showed her the red paint on the wall. Do you really think I would stoop that low? That's it! You've insulted me enough! We're through! Katie and I officially broke our friendship. I was sad, but I couldn't stay friends with someone who would write a message on my wall like that. Luckily, though, I had Charlie. He asked me out, and I said yes. And we were having a study session one day when Charlie poked my nose.
You look so cute when you're thinking.
We leaned in and we were about to kiss when I picked up the phone and Mom answered. What's up, Mother? Scarlett, I'm on my way to see you. What? No. You? Oh, I'm going through a tunnel. I'll see you soon. My heart dropped like a stone. If my mom found out I was studying medicine, she would force me to leave uni. Quick, remove any evidence of medicine from my room.
What?
Just do it! With Charlie's help, I took down all of my doctor's posters, my medicine books, my papers, everything. We then replaced everything with fashion-themed stuff just in time for the door to open, and there was my mom. Scarlett! Oh, how I've missed you, sweetie. And who's this young man? My friend, Charlie. Ooh, another fashion student. Who's your favorite fashion icon?
Abraham Lincoln.
What? Anyway, glad you got to meet Charlie, but he's gotta go. Bye, Charlie! I was so relieved when my mom finally left. There was one strange moment, though, as she was leaving. Listen, Scarlett, is there anything you want to tell me before you leave? No? Okay. That short scare with my mom was soon forgotten about. The next day, when Charlie invited me for a picnic, it was so romantic. Oh no, I forgot I made sandwiches. I left them in my room.
Don't worry, I'll go get them.
He left from my room, but a few minutes later, he came running back in a panic.
There's smoke coming from your dorm.
What? He ran over to find all my medicine papers were destroyed, burned to a crisp. No! All my research! My hard work! Who did this? There was a sound from the closet, and we both froze.
I think the culprit is still in here.
We crept over and Charlie flung the door open. I was fully expecting to find Katie there, but I was shocked to see my mom instead. Mom, you were behind this! And that message, did you write that too? Yes, I'm sorry, honey, but when I found out you were studying medicine, I had to put a stop to it. Why? Because you're beautiful. It would be an injustice not to become a model. Can't you see that I'm more than just a pretty face? All my life, people have called me dumb and stupid just because I don't look like your typical smart nerd or whatever. I need you to support me with this. It's my dream to become a doctor.
And she's really smart. Smartest in our class, actually.
I smiled at him gratefully, and then my mom let out a sigh. I suppose I have been a little harsh. Fine. I'll let you become a doctor, but only if you promise to keep up your skincare routine. I would never dream of letting that go. We all laughed, and it seemed this was the end of my story. But there was one more thing that needed resolving. Graduation came along, and I was honored with giving the valedictorian speech. I expected the same stage fright as before when I walked on stage, but surprisingly, I felt very calm. All my life, people have told me what I'm supposed to be. Nothing more than a pretty face. But today proves them wrong. The crowd cheered, and as I walked off the stage, Katie appeared. Scarlett, I owe you an apology. My parents were the ones who sabotaged my thesis. I'm sorry I accused you wrongly. And things with Charlie, I'll break up with him if you need me to. I'll do anything for you. No, don't do that. I'm with Oscar now, and just because I used to have a crush on Charlie doesn't mean you can't date him. Let's make sure a guy never comes between us again. Never. We hugged, and it was the perfect end to my story.